Good morning, everyone. It's very lively. It's, I don't know, it's summer, it's official, isn't it? Summer's here. There's still people in the aisle finding their place. That's okay. The rest of you, you want to, oh, you don't have anything in your bulletin, but that's okay because we're going to lead you. Bill has put a kind of an upbeat pace to this next song. It's in every one of us. I think you're going to recognize it.
We all know this song. It's in every one of us to be wise. Find your heart, open up both your eyes. We can all know everything without ever knowing why. It's in every one of us by and by. It's in every one of us to be free. Find yourself, open your eyes and see. We can all have everything without ever knowing how. It's in every one of us here and now. It's in every one of us here and now.
So I'm going to just invite you to stand. Yeah, it's 11 o'clock. You can do this. Reveal, reveal the love inside of me. Reveal the love that I was meant to be. And every time I open up, love is what I see. Reveal the love in me. Reveal, reveal the peace inside of me. Reveal the peace that I was meant to be. And every time I open up, peace is what I see. Reveal the peace in me. Reveal, reveal the joy inside of me. Reveal the joy that I was meant to be. And every time I open up, love is what I see. Every time I open up, peace is what I see. Every time I open up, joy is what I see. Reveal the love in me. Reveal the love in me. So awesome. Who's coming up here? We all got lost. There you go.
We got lost. We're never lost. We're always lost in our vibration, but we're on our path. Isn't that the truth? Thank you all for being here. What an amazing morning we have in store for you. We have music of Bill and Tina. Our practitioner this morning is also going to be Tina. You'll get to hear from Tina for our invocation as well. My name is Reverend Donna, and I'm so honored to be part of our practitioner corps here at our Seal Beach Center for Spiritual Living, also known as the Jewel by the Sea. And you'll hear a little bit more about that later this morning. I'm so excited to be here. For some of you may know I was out of town last week. I took a drive up to Napa for a little bit of time away and to enjoy a concert of one of my favorite people. So it feels great to be back this Sunday, ready for May. And we have a lot in store for you today. And sometimes I asked about what brings me back to our center, 30-some years later, what keeps me coming back? And what keeps me coming back is all of you. It's that opportunity to celebrate and to be present with like-minded people, to engage in a heart-to-heart conversation. And there's a quote by Emerson that I like that reminds me again of our center. He says, "Never lose an opportunity of seeing anything beautiful, for beauty is God's handwriting." We see that everywhere, don't we? Yeah. We see it in the flowers that Bob and his garden team work so beautifully to create for us, and plant and nurture, and all of those things we see in life. And I also wanted to share a little bit about who we are by reading our mission statement on the front cover of our program, if you'd like to read that with me. It says, "We are a loving spiritual sanctuary where everyone is welcome. We celebrate the abundance of life through study, inspiration, gratitude, and service. With open hearts and minds, we participate in self-transformation for a world that works for everyone." For those of you who might be here for the first time, we do have a welcome packet. It's at our back table. It's a little bag of some goodies, and please feel free to fill out the form that comes with that if you would like more information about us, and then we'll be in touch with you. If you have any questions about anything you hear today or want to have other information, please contact either myself or Jack Roberts is coordinating the new first-time visitor information. So please see one of us for more information, or you can call the church office during the week, and our phone number is on our program. We do have several announcements this morning, so I'm going to invite Marjorie and Jack up to share our first announcement.
Good morning, Seal Beach. So for you first-time guests, I'm the Jack Roberts that she was referring to. My role as your new minister search committee chairperson is finally coming to an end. And thank you. I'm sure nobody is applauding louder than the other 11 people that had to work with me. And I had a wonderful team of people that there's no way this could have happened without. They all brought tremendous talents and participated in many different ways to bring about our new minister candidates, and this whole process is coming to an end. This team worked really, really hard to help to bring to our community viable candidates. We looked at these candidates very carefully. We did background checks on the candidates. We made sure that we were bringing you the best people available. And that's what we have done. We were proud to do it. We're so grateful for all of the participation and the feedback that you as a community got involved in, and all of our efforts together are going to yield some beautiful new fruit. And so I'm officially turning this thing over to the head of our leadership council, Marjorie, and she's going to take over from here.
What I'm very proud of is that we took this whole process and used the principles that we teach. So from the co-creation workshop that everybody was invited to, the marvelous work the search committee did, oh my hours they put in. And then this week, after we got to see all three candidates and everybody had an opportunity to turn in their surveys and their recommendations, the search committee came to the board meeting and presented that information to the board and made a recommendation that our new ministers be Reverend Michael Heinley and Nicole Van Ansigen, almost Reverend. And so the board has confirmed this choice, and we now have ballots available in the back of the room. There's only Michael and Nicole's name on this because that is the process, the spiritual process we went through brought forth these two as the candidates that we are that is to be our next spiritual leaders. And so when you get back there, you'll have to sign, and you'll get a ballot, and please turn it in the box back there, not in the offering plate. And if you know someone that would like, that's not here today, that would like to be involved in this confirmation vote, they may email their vote in. We'll be able to check off names so people won't get to vote twice. But they can email it into sbcsl@sbcsl.org and just write Michael and Nicole, yes, or we have 3 choices, remember. You can say, yes, this is who I wanted, or you can say, well, this wasn't exactly my first choice, but I can trust in the process that we went through, and I will go with the wisdom of the group. Or you can say just no, and no is fine. We honor all paths and all people and all choices. So don't forget to vote before you go out. And we hopefully at the town hall meeting or at the end of it, we'll be able to announce that the confirmation is a done deal. So thank you.
I'm going to say one more thing really quickly. The town hall is today, and please cast your ballot. Don't just say, other people are going to vote. It's okay. I already know who's. No. Please, we need everyone to make sure you participate. If you are a member, pick up your ballots on your way out and cast your ballots. And thank you, Reverend.
Thank you. We have Janice.
Did you guys recognize that song? It was Turn, Turn, Turn. It's a really cool song, and it's perfect for today because now we've had a lot of other things to think about and to dwell on, but now we can turn our attention to our fundraiser. It's only a month away, guys. We are a little light on our ticket sales, but that's okay. We have a month to go, so get your tickets. We also, if you can't make it, you can buy a ticket for somebody else that can't afford to go. And we also need your silent auction items. We have donation forms for you to fill out. Tell us about whatever it is you have to donate. Or maybe you have a restaurant you go to, a hair salon. We're open. We're very open people. So whatever you got, come on, let's make our auction amazing. And come, it's a really great time. We'll have a blast. Yay!
They are wonderful events. I go every year, and I already have my ticket for this one. And I had somebody ask me after first service if you have to dress up. And I said, well, no, you don't have to. And she says, if you do, I will. So I might dress up in a 60s outfit. I'm not quite sure what. We'll see what that looks like. But do dress up. Get involved. It's a lot of fun. We have a few other announcements. We have our Wednesday evening service. And for those of you who know, the Wednesday evening service is near and dear to my heart. So this week, we are very honored to have a first-time speaker, Kathy Scott. She's one of our practitioners, and she will be speaking. And I hear Jack also has a part in the service. And her talk is on Shift is Happening, Moving Beyond Appearances and Going Back to First Cause. She is doing a pre-service meditation at 6:15. Service starts at 6:30. So if you can get here a little bit earlier to participate in that meditation, it'll kind of set the space for the sacredness of the service. Reverend Juanita started her book study yesterday, and it goes through the month of May. It's on rescuing the Bible from fundamentalism. If you have any questions at all, please see Reverend Juanita, and she can answer any of your questions. We have a workshop coming up on May 20th, and it's also the same day as our volunteer meeting for Sunday morning volunteers. We are going to continue to schedule that meeting for the volunteers on May 20th, but it will be done in plenty of time for you to get some lunch and get here for the workshop at 1:30. I'm also going to light the memorial candle today, and we are honoring Dean. Dean Despain made his transition, and we are holding Billy in our hearts and their families. Dean's celebration of life service will also be May 20th. It will be 5 o'clock here in our sanctuary, and there'll be more information available to you, but we wanted to let you know that that has been scheduled. So mark your calendars if you can be here on May 20th at 5 p.m. And as I light the memorial candle, and then we'll go into the invocation with Tina, we'd like to just spend a moment in silence and honoring Dean and the hearts that might be heavy right now. Because when we open our hearts and we remember Dean, the joyful, loving presence that he was and he continues to be, that we surround Billy and their families in love, in support, and that we recognize and know that as Dean has let go of this container, this body that could no longer serve him, that his spirit flies free, that his spirit is filled with effervescence, enthusiasm that he had here with us. I can hear his laughter. I can remember Billy and Dean and the joy of the two of them together, and recognize that that joy, that love is right here in the midst of the heavy-heartedness we might be feeling right now. And I'm just thankful for Dean, for the power of prayer, for Billy, and to recognize that love is always with us. He has returned to that love from which he came from, and I'm grateful to have known him. We say thank you.
Pour yourself in me, pour yourself into my heart. Oh, wonderful Spirit, pour yourself in me, pour yourself into my heart. Oh, wonderful Spirit, whoa, wonderful Spirit, whoa, wonderful Spirit.
Prepare your mind to receive the best that life has to offer. Prepare your mind to see the best that life has to offer. Prepare your mind to see the best that life has to offer. For me, preparation is a little obnoxious. I lay things out, I go through them. If I'm preparing to go on a hike, if I'm preparing to go on vacation, if I'm preparing a meal, I've kind of got some quirks in preparation. But then there comes this moment that it's a complete surrender to the process. I've prepared as much as I can. When I'm preparing my mind and I'm going into silence, I have an idea. I have a practice. I go into this place where I know that God is. And I know that my good is here now. And then I surrender. I surrender to that knowing and open my heart to give and to receive in the process of that. And sometimes that involves an easy flow, and sometimes it has rapids. But I have a surrender to it. And the reason why is because I know that God is all there is, and all good is mine now. And I know that for you, that all good is yours now. And so we'll go into the silence with this thought. Prepare your mind to receive the best that life has to offer. I am so grateful to know that my good is here now. I am so grateful to know that God is. I'm so grateful to know that God is, and that I am. And I'm so grateful for this community, the place to come into and to connect, and to see the truth and to hear the truth. We see it in each other's eyes, and we hear it in each other's voices, and even as a community, as we may go through rapids, just like any relationship, I know that we can remain in the flow, and I am so grateful to know that this is the truth for us now, and that we can celebrate this truth. All is good, all is well. I'm so grateful. And so it is.
Pour yourself into my heart. Whoa, wonderful Spirit, pour yourself in me. Pour yourself into my heart. Whoa, wonderful Spirit.
Okay, come back. I see some of you just come on back. Come back to this room. Come back here. I love we're talking about transformation today, in case you didn't know, and the whole idea of the phoenix rising. I mean, you know, you're all phoenixes rising, and we've done it. We've risen and risen and risen, right? And but for me, I see it as this big majestic phoenix, and forget about the journey. And I loved this song so much because it refers to the phoenix as me rising through it, and I still have ashes on me. You know, it's that knowing that you're finally just on the other side, but still kind of in between. Do you know what I'm talking about? And so it goes, doesn't it? And I know that all of that process is God, and is wonderful, and is always my good, and always my greater and greater. Just about the time your heart breaks like a wheel, not in a straight line, but all in pieces. Some you'll leave behind on a road you won't revise. No, you won't revisit that little compromise. Now you only dream in peaceful blue. The morning doesn't even scare you anymore. You were a phoenix with your feathers still a little wet. Baby, the ashes just look pretty on your eyes. Pretty on your eyes. So look up, up ahead. The city lights are dancing for you. Or is it the aurora burning off the edges of the sky? Don't cry, don't cry. That's all over now. That's all over now. Now you only dream in peaceful blue. The morning doesn't even scare you anymore. You were a phoenix with your feathers still a little wet. Baby, the ashes just look pretty on your eyes. Pretty on your eyes. Dry your wings in the sun. You have only begun to understand. When it's time to move on, there is no one to hold your hand. So let go, let go, let go. Here the night is fine, the stars are sparks of steel, chiseled in the mind of twilight. You tell me something real, say don't try, just remember how, remember, now you only dream in peaceful blue. The morning doesn't even scare you anymore. You were a phoenix with your feathers still a little wet. Baby, the ashes just look pretty on your eyes. Pretty on your eyes. Pretty on your eyes. The ashes just look pretty, pretty on your eyes. On your eyes. On your eyes. On your eyes. On your eyes.
I mentioned first service when I heard Tina talking about the Phoenix. The first thing I thought of was Harry Potter. I can't remember which film it was. Thank you. My daughter is visiting this morning, so thank you for being here. She might remember the exact movie, but I'm not sure of which film in the series. But there's this scene where Dumbledore's bird bursts into flames to be reborn again, and Harry's freaked out, and he's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And Dumbledore's calm and at peace, and he understands that things end and begin again, and things end and begin again. And Harry hasn't figured that out yet because he's young, and he's starting his journey and his process. So as Tina was sharing that song, it made me think of that. I wanted to share a story called The Lost Key with all of you. It says, a man was walking home late one night when he saw Nasruddin searching under a streetlight on hands and knees for something on the ground. Nasruddin, what have you lost? He asked. The key to my house, he replied. Well, I'll help you look, said the man. Soon, both men were down on their knees looking for the key. After a number of minutes, the man asked, where exactly did you drop it? Nasruddin waved his arm back towards the darkness. Over there, it's in my house. The first man jumped up. Then why are we looking for it out here? Because there was more light here than inside my house. How often do we look outside of ourselves where we think there's more light for an answer instead of looking within, or looking where it is where we think we might find the answer? It happens, I think, a lot for many of us. I know I do that sometimes. I don't look for the answer within. I'm talking to everybody else and trying to get everyone else's thoughts, opinions. What book should I read next? What author should I look at? What meditation should I do? Instead of just anchoring into here and recognizing that even in what I feel is the darkness inside myself is the answer, because that's where the divine dwells. That's where we have that magnificent light that is spirit. Because that's who we are. We are all divine expressions of God. We're magnificent in our own way. What would it feel like to embody that? What would it feel like to open ourselves to that experience and step into that light? I'm going to be talking about the starfish and the jewel this morning, and I want to share a funny story about how that talk title came about. About 4 years or so ago, I was on a pledge committee similar to the fundraiser we're doing today. I'd first come to the center, and Reverend Josh had asked me to join the pledge committee. And I said, okay, I'd like to get more involved in the community and be a part of this process. So we were doing a visioning, and I kept seeing a vision of a starfish or a sea star and a jewel. And I looked at Reverend Josh and I went, the starfish and the jewel sounds like a great talk title. He said, yeah, you write it. I did, and here I am with the absolute joy of getting to share it. I didn't know, thank you. I didn't know what it was going to be when it came up in that meditation, so I've had some time to process it, prepare, as Tina shared. I loved that quote, prepare your mind to receive the best that life has to offer, an Ernest Holmes quote. What happens when we do prepare our mind? What happens when we open to that truth? Because there is something unique for each one of us to experience while we're here. Florence Scovel Shinn shares a quote that I just love. There is a place that you are to fill, something you are to do, which no one else can do. Nobody else can do. I had a mentor once share with me that the world would be very boring if we were all plumbers. And I think he's right. We wouldn't have the electricians or the chefs or the writers or the musicians that open our hearts. We wouldn't have the geologists that are studying environments both here and on other planets to help us grow and have a better understanding of what the universe is all about. We all are called here for a purpose. We don't necessarily know what that is, and that's kind of a buzzword for me these days. What's your purpose? What's your meaning? But at the same time, I think it's giving us an opportunity to dig deep within ourselves, to really embody that is what the universe has for us, to share with one of us and for all of us. So what is calling you to express that's unique, maybe out of your comfort zone? Being up here is out of my comfort zone, and I love it. I love it. But it took a while for me to do that, to say yes. And as we step out of that comfort zone, maybe reach out for something we don't think is attainable, or talk to someone we want to get to know a little bit more, or allow love into our life, whether it's through gardening and bringing flowers into our life, or that special someone that we kind of want to get to know a little bit better, but we're not sure, or opening our heart to the divine in a different way to allow that love in. There's so many ways that we can step out in life and answer that call. Maybe it's through giving back or paying something forward from an experience that we had in our own world. Because we're spiritual beings having a human experience. So in that story of the human journey, what's calling you forth? Maybe there's obstacles or challenges that have happened, and we have a different way of responding to those. Maybe it's time for us to let go of something that's been a part of who we thought we were, and we're realizing we're kind of outgrowing it, and we can let that go to step into something new. Again, allowing something to fall away to rise up into something new, that transformation. The story of the starfish or the sea star is one that many of you might already be aware of, and there's many different versions about it, but the version that I want to share today is one that's near and dear to my heart. It's about a young man who's kind of in his own little world, going through some of his own challenges and experiences, and he decides to go for a walk along the beach one early morning. It's still dark outside. And it's just him in the water and the sand walking through, and he's kind of immersed in his own world, his thoughts, his reflections, so he's not paying attention to what he sees around him. And as he continues to walk, he continues to think, and his heart starts to open, but he's still in his own little world. And as the light comes up and the sun is starting to shine, he starts to notice there's sea stars, starfish all over the place. And he's still not paying a lot of attention, but he's starting to notice. And then he sees off in the distance, there's something out there. He can't quite make it out yet. But as the sun continues to rise and he gets closer, He realized it's somebody who's doing some kind of a ritual or methodically doing some kind of movement. And as he gets closer, he realizes that this person is picking up sea stars and gently placing them in the water. And as the gentleman asks this man, what are you doing? He says, well, these sea stars need to get back into the water or they won't live. And he looks around and he goes, but there's thousands of them here. Why do you even try? And he says, doesn't say a word, just continues to gently pick one up and put it in the water. And he goes, made a difference to that one. I made a difference to that one. I made a difference to that one. He was making a difference in the way he could. He knew he couldn't save all of the sea stars, but that didn't mean he wasn't going to do what he knew he could do. That's each and every one of us. We all make a difference. We take that embodiment of love, that embodiment of spirit, and we let it out in our own way and in our own voice. Ernest Holmes has a quote that I'm going to use and share with you in this moment. He uses the word love, but you can substitute the word God. Ernest used a lot of God quality terms to identify spirit. He says, love is within us. It cannot be destroyed. It can be ignored. To the extent that we abandon love, we will feel it has abandoned us. Denying love is our only problem, and embracing it is the only answer. Through the power of love, we can let go of past history and begin again. For love heals, it forgives, and it makes us whole. If we can open our hearts to love, even in the midst of pain, I have a pretty good idea that it's transformational. And it might be transformational only from within our own hearts, affecting us, but how we show up reflects out into the world and how we interact with each other. There are people that making a difference every day. We sometimes know it, sometimes we don't. But sometimes that stranger that gives you a smile on the street changes your mood. It does for me sometimes. And there might be a possibility that when I smile at a stranger, I don't know how that affects someone else down the line. I had an honor of knowing somebody many years ago, and I only knew him for a few months before he made his transition, and I didn't know him that well. But he shared something with me that I'll never forget, and I'd had a few conversations with him over time, and I've actually written an article about him. It's called A Life Well Lived. And one of the things he shared just before his transition was he learned more about love from the grave than he did from the altar. He took his life experience of love and what that meant, and he shared it with people that he had no idea the effect the years later would have on me, to remember that place of love. I found a quote, and I don't know who wrote it. I have tried to find the author, but it's, I didn't want to tiptoe through life just to arrive safely at death. How many of us tiptoe through life safely? I don't want to make any waves. I don't want to step out of my comfort zone. I'll just keep doing this work over here, but this is what's calling to me. But I don't know if I can get into that school. I don't know if I can find the courage to sing, even though it's something that I feel called to do. Or I don't know, that calculus class is pretty hard. I don't know if I can do that. Step out, say yes. Answer that call, because that's the divine wanting to have its way within, through, and as all of us in its own unique way. The jewel, which I refer to as the jewel by the sea in that visioning process, because that's what we are. We're the jewel by the sea. The jewel is something that comes out of nature, but it's created. The definition of a jewel is a precious possession or a person or thing that is treasured, esteemed, or indispensable. We assign a value to that, whatever that is. And it's always precious because it comes forth from within the divine. I did ask my daughter to give me kind of the dynamics scientifically of how a gem or a jewel is created. And she gave me a beautifully elaborate scientific description that I just loved. And I can't share it right now because I can't remember it all. But what I do know is it's created out of minerals. The National Geographic says that precious gems are formed in different ways and composed of different materials, meaning their appearances vary vastly. We think about rubies, sapphires, diamonds. We're all that diamond in the rough. We're kind of being formed and created through our personal lives and the challenges and the journey we're all walking on. Because there's not all challenges, there's joys. We often say for practitioners, come to us with your questions and your challenges, but share your demonstrations with us too, because we want to focus our consciousness on that which is joyful as well. So that jewel that's being created, each one of us is being molded and created from those minerals that have been gone through pressure and magma and all these other big words. What it comes down to is God. We are that jewel that's being created. Our jewel by the sea is continuing to grow. It's continuing to evolve. We're shining up those beautiful facets. We're stepping into a new beginning. What an opportunity to shine is that jewel. Because each of us are created out of the one, however, we're individualized expressions of God. Madeline Fielding was one of my favorite practitioners. She made her transition a few years ago. And the way she would describe it was God is a wheel. And in that wheel are spokes. We are those spokes, as she put it. We are part of the whole, but we're individualized expressions of God. We are that which brings itself forth to show up and be present in our world. In our world, it's who we are. Christian Larson says, believe in yourself and all that you are. Know that there is something inside you that is greater than any obstacle. That is the divine that's within us. Are we answering that call? Or are we continuing in the habit of staying small? For those of you who know, I had a rental car about a week or so ago because of an incident. And I sat at the Hertz place for hours, I think, waiting for a small car because all they kept trying to give me were SUVs. Don't describe an SUV as small. I finally, after several hours, got talked into this small car. There's nothing small about this car. The first day was a lot of firsts, learning how to start it, because it didn't start with a key. It took me 3 days to realize I had a sunroof. By the end of the week, I didn't want to give it up. I was having so much fun, and I thought, life is fun. But I had to step out of my comfort zone to drive that car. You should have seen me getting on the freeway the first time. But what I realized was I wasn't in my mind receptive to being worthy of driving such a beautiful car with all the bells and whistles, and it was just amazing. And I had to open my consciousness and get out of my comfort zone to not just park it in the driveway and cancel my visits for the week. I got out and did it, but I had so much fun realizing that was the divine expressing itself in an even greater way. How do we do that? We answer the call. Maybe we'll realize there's a habit or something that we need to shift or a limiting belief. Our teachings teach when we can unearth that limiting belief, we can open ourselves to a greater good. That we can open ourselves to maybe responding to an experience that we don't like right now and seeing a different truth from it. I often share with my families when they're grieving that we all have our own individual fingerprint. We're born with that. We're also born with our own individual grief print, which means we all grieve a little differently. We all respond to life a little differently. And that's part of life. That's part of the love that shows up. And this week I'm honoring, we are grieving. We are letting go of a lot of things that are moving into a new experience with our center in Dean's passing and recognizing that his love never dies, that it's here. And the flowers symbolize that to me this morning, and the music that will be later this morning. We are celebrating another yet to be, a greater yet to be. Are we opening our hearts to say yes? I would like to share a story. If you'd like to close your eyes as I share this story and then go into our closing prayer. It's an autobiography in 5 short chapters. Chapter 1, I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I don't see it, and I fall in again. It isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I still fall in. It's now a habit. It's my fault. I know where I am, and I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down a different street. Sometimes it takes walking down a different street, a different path, to make that shift in consciousness, to accept the greater yet to be, to say yes to that offer or dream or vision or whatever it is that's really calling itself forth from within us for that new beginning. And Portia Nelson wrote that 5 chapters, that autobiography in 5 chapters, in case you want to learn more about it. It's truly who we are. It's divine expressions of God. We're magnificent. We're transformed when we open our hearts and our minds. Ernest Holmes said that if he had it to over again, he'd spend more time on the love than the law. Celebrate the love that's in this room right now. If you look around, you can feel it right now. It's palpable. The openness, the joy, the love, that's who we are. I'm very grateful to have been here today to share. I would like to close in prayer before we move into our music. And we just turn within and just recognize and know that right where we are is that divine presence, that divine light that I recognize as God, that I know God is all there is, that I recognize and know that God is that love, the joy, the abundance, the peace, the grace that we know as God. And that in this space, we hold and know that each and every one of us are divine expressions of God. That who we are is that God stuff, as Ernest Holmes called it, the divine mystery, the love, and expresses itself in, through, and as each and every one of us. For I recognize and know that as I call forth this truth, that I live and move and have my being in pure spirit. That who I am is that divine expression of God showing up, answering the call. When I answer the call with an open heart, moving forward and stepping into that greater truth. And recognizing that that jewel is just being formed a little bit more as it opens and just glistens in the sun. As I release my word into the law, I know it is done. I am so grateful. Grateful to know the power of prayer. Grateful to know it's the faith, the feeling, the conviction behind the words. That is what's calling itself forth right now in prayer. As I release my word, I know it is done. I let it be, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, that's good. Thank you. That was good. Didn't that feel good? She's so good. I knew she was good, by the way. She was a rock star. Yeah, it's a little secret. My little jewel by the seed. That sounded weird. Where I, worked with her on Wednesdays, and so I knew what you were in for. But oh, you got it. All right, stop celebrating. So that love, that healing love of transformation, right? We can give. We can receive. Reverend Margie reminded me of that this morning before the service. So that's what we're going to do.
Think of your fellow man, lend him a helping hand. Put a little love in your heart.
Don't make us sing by ourselves.
You see it's getting late. Oh, please don't hesitate. Put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place. And the world will be a better better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Another day goes by until the children cry. Put a little love in your heart. If you want the world to know we won't let hatred grow, put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Take a look around, and if you're looking down, put a little love in your heart. I hope that when you decide kindness will be your guide, put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart.
Yes. Tina and I have had the honor of sharing the stage at Downey and here, so thank you. It's now time for our offering. If you'd like to take your gift and bless it, knowing that it is a gift that blesses the world in ways we may never know. And our offering blessing in the program, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am prospered. Thank you, God.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
You with the sad eyes, don't be discouraged. Oh, I realize it's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can lose sight of it all, and the darkness inside you makes you feel so small. But I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. Your true colors are beautiful, like the rainbow. Show me a smile then. Don't be unhappy, can't remember when last saw you laughing. If this world makes you crazy and you've taken all you can bear, well, call me up, 'cause you know I'll be there. 'Cause I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true true colors are beautiful like a rainbow. You with the sad eyes, don't be discouraged, or I realize it's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can lose sight of it all, and the darkness inside you can make you feel so small. But I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors, your true colors. Sing with me. Your true colors, your true colors. I know my true colors, true colors. I can lift your true colors. Your true colors are beautiful like a rainbow, like a rainbow.
I have one more announcement before we bring in the kids. Stacy Robbins has a mom's group here that meets on May 12th from 6:30 to 9 here at our center, and it's called One Tribe Moms Empowering Each Other. So if you want more information about that support group or that group that meets together, please reach out to Stacy Robbins and you can get more information. I'd like to invite the kids in. The candle's lit behind you. The candle.
Thank you, Bill.
Candle's lit behind you.
Good morning. So our theme for May is creativity. And we spent some time identifying what creativity is and that it's, art, but also where we see creativity outside of art, like gardening or cooking or building buildings. And then we talked about the creativity that we just inherently have in us and what a powerful tool it is. And we talked about, sometimes waking up grumpy or tired or maybe not looking forward to the day because you have a test or a teacher maybe who's not your favorite. And that at that opportunity, we have an opportunity to recreate that experience. We can create a story in our mind of how the day's going to go, and we can take the bad mood and just go with it, or we could create a story for ourselves that transcends the day to something awesome. And knowing that power is really important. And then I'm going to pass this over to Sylvia, who wants to share.
Okay, I made this, and I made it for Juanita to put on her refrigerator.
Are you done? Okay. Sylvia showed you, but that's what we did today. We made tissue paper mandalas, and they're beautiful. They're beautiful.
And then just one quick, that's so cute. Oh, I love that, Riker. I love that. Okay, and then just one quick shout out to our birthday boy, Seth Robbins. Woo!
Just want to thank the volunteers, Miles, who's cleaning up our glue, and Miss Wyndham, Miss Kathy, Miss Katie. Thank you.
And I believe Seth was in a recital earlier this week. Here, you did a great job. I said I heard Seth was in a recital this week, and I hear you did a great job. Oh, yeah. Nice job. Thank you all for being here. Let's stand while we do our benediction and our peace song. Something is wonderful is happening to me right now.
Something wonderful is happening to me right now.
It is this thing called life.
It is this thing called life.
Life is in my body.
Life is in my body.
Life is in my mind.
Life is in my mind.
Life is in all that I do.
Life is in all that I do.
I give thanks for it.
I give thanks for it.
And I accept it.
And I accept it.
Just the way that it is.
Just the way that it is.
And just the way that it is not.
And just the way that it is not.
Thank you, life.
Thank you, life.
Thank you. Hey. Thank you.
Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me.
Thank you.
Yes, there is peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be with God as our